I recently watched a video with Sean Hurley. Then I watched it again, then I watched it again and again and again. Having the ability to really up close in HD look at somebody play these songs. There's no extra string noise, no fret noise. It was amazing to see how his hand moves. Normally we don't get to see this up close. In this video, I'm covering the lesson every worship bass player can learn from this, how to approach bass playing with taste, and why simplicity actually makes you a better bass player. The last clip I want to cover is how he moves his hand when he plays fills and the impact it has. And this first clip that I want to show you is not playing at the top of your ability.
I think what distinguishes great session players from everybody else is, I think, partially their restraint, but their...
So what distinguishes great session players, and I think this applies to bass players and musicians in general, is their restraint. That's a mic drop right there.
Ability as to kind of what to do when, and having that calculation be spot on is so critical important.
I appreciate that. I mean, that's what was told to me sort of in, verbally, but then you read about it, because the assumption was everyone we were listening to on records, they weren't playing at the top of their abilities, right? Yeah. They're using their taste, their judgment, their restraint to make a song greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. That is absolutely huge. They're using their taste, restraint, and their abilities to make the song greater than the sum of its parts. That is absolutely the approach that I think worship bass players need to have. We oftentimes don't. When you play at the top of your ability, you're more prone to make mistakes. When you're not playing at the top of your ability, your mistakes are a lot easier to manage because you have bandwidth to cover that, right? Like if you have something that happens, you have bandwidth to improvise, to adjust. But if you're playing at 100%, you're at the ceiling. Like you make a mistake, everybody knows it. You can't go into next gear if you're in fifth gear, right? I know there's 6-gear cars, but the point is that once you're at that ceiling and you make a mistake, like a lot of times it ends up being a train wreck. This next clip, he says he doesn't do slap and pop. I absolutely love this clip. Let's check it out.
I don't do slap and pop. I don't do things that are really like, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
And when I do it, it's kind of like, yeah, this one's for you. And I did it. And it was actually, it fit the song.
So I love how he says that. Like, I don't do slap and pop. I don't do, hey, look at me. A lot of musicians do like the slap and pop. And the more like fills you play and the busier you are, the less meaningful the fills. But if you show restraint and bring in a nasty fill or two in the song, they have a lot more meaning. So if everything's a fill, nothing's a fill. One of the things I absolutely love about Sean is exactly this approach to bass. I don't do slap and pop, but he does whatever is needed. He creates that like bed for the song, for the vocal, and really approaches that. And that's why I think he gets called to a lot of these sessions, is because of his approach. And I think for worship bass players, if that's your approach and you're focusing on the simplicity of it and serving the song rather than, hey, look at me, I know this cool fill and bass line, you'll definitely go a lot further and people will enjoy inviting you and asking you to play a lot more. So this next clip is absolutely incredible because he says something about the difference between playing with fingers and a pick and how he can't groove the same way he does with fingers as he does with a pick. I have the same thing. I can lock in a lot better and my feel and time is just a lot better when I'm playing with fingers. Check this out.
Felt that. And also for me, maybe other players have an easier time, but I can't groove in the same way with the same little sway with a pick that I can with fingers.
I think that is a huge key for some bass players. Like some bass players can just play, they prefer pick a lot, like Bethel, right? They have a lot of their songs, if not all of their songs, are pick bass. The approach, the physical movement of playing with fingers versus the pick is different. This to me was like confirming that I'm not crazy. There are players that have a better connection with the pick and can groove better and can make it feel better. And then other players are more finger. And not necessarily that you can't work on that. You should work on the things that you maybe aren't as good at. Like if I'm really comfortable with playing with fingers, I should play more with a pick. That was absolutely amazing confession, if I can call it that, on screen. And so the last thing is tone is really in the hands, right? And it's 100% true. And this is one of the coolest and subtle things I noticed while watching this, especially in this right hand, how he plays fills. So check this out. See how he moved his hand back and forth? So if I rewind a little bit and kind of zoom in a little bit closer, I have a second clip that shows it a little bit with a more close-up angle. But you could see right now his thumb is resting on the pickup. Watch when he plays the fill. So he moved like an inch, maybe inch and a half to play that little dun 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 dun, right? And then if we look at this other clip, so check this out. This is a nice close-up. That's very interesting. Why is he doing that, right? And then I pulled out my bass. When we go up higher, it's a thinner string. There's a lot less low end. And I think the way that he balances that less low end and maintains that even tone throughout is by positioning his hands. So if you play here, as opposed to here, it may be subtle, but I think when there's a sub involved, that inch and a half makes a difference. So as you're going up higher, playing here gives you a lot of a rounder, fuller tone than if you was to play fills over here. And I think what a lot of bass players tend to do is they camp out, kind of they plant their thumb on the pickup, and then that's all they're doing is just playing in the same location. If you have another explanation or theory, comment below and let me know what you think. You can hear the difference. Like here's A right over the pickup. Here's A here. It's a lot rounder, a lot warmer, deeper, and yeah, those fills. That high A there sounds different. Just that like inch and a half to an inch makes a massive difference. Learn the language and the tones that are here. That goes a long way. If you can control that tone with your hands, you can get a lot out of an instrument and not have to rely on pedals, on a bunch of fancy gear, but rather where and how you play. To me, this was like a masterclass in being intentional and doing tasteful playing. And Restraint, because he definitely can shred. He can play fills as good as anybody out there, but the Restraint, I think there's a ton of lessons, especially in worship. You're serving the song, you're creating that foundation, that bed for the song to live and to inspire other people and to worship. If you found this helpful, give me a like, subscribe, let me know in the comments which takeaway resonated with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.